Hi, everyone. We have author Donald Simpson here, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself.
Hello, my name is Donald Simpson. I'm a fantasy and fiction author. I right now I'm specializing in fantasy adventures and horror. When I on the horizon, I have a few. I have an action drama. I have a suspense thriller. I have a child fable, all in which I am actually working simultaneously to complete. So I won't be too far behind. And that's my main focus at this particular time.
Okay. And what inspired you to start writing?
Well, most people know me as an illustrator. And, I've always been drawing the fantasy. So I used to draw these dynamic pictures with these strange creatures and action heroes, superheroes, and all this other stuff. And over time, I realized that all my illustrations were driven by these stories in my head, or whatever I dream, I'll draw and I'll create a story around it. And I pretty much go from there. Um, so I basically am what you call a converted dreamer.
Okay.
Most people dream and they don't do anything about it. I decided to dream and follow it up with a story.
Nice. Yes, I just have weird dreams. And like you said, I just brush it off like that was weird.
Yeah. Oh, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and take my phone and then type it all in.
Wow. Okay. And how many books have you wrote?
I've completed two books. Uh, my first book, in which I have self-published, which is online, is part of a 4-book series. The actual book itself is actually one big book. I just cut it off at a certain word count to fall within the ramifications that they want you to do, specifications. I'm sorry, and what they want me to do, and I just break them off like that.
Okay.
So that's the book I have out, and I have one getting ready to come out next year. Once the publishing company get it to where they really want it.
Okay. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Did you experience any type of writer's block?
No, I don't. Um, what the deal is, sometimes when I go a long time without writing on that story, I just simply go back maybe a chapter or two.
Okay.
And start reading and what you call it, regain the rhythm and go from there. That's why if I ever was to give advice to anybody about reader's block, that's something you can try, because a lot of times a person may have so much stuff on their mind and they'll lose focus on what they're writing. Mm-hmm. But if you go back to your story and go back and read through it again, it almost like it'll pick up and you'll pretty much catch up on everything that you thought you lost, and you might come up with some new stuff that might be better than it was when you was flowing at first.
Okay. Now, is this your writing space behind you? Is this where you write?
Yeah, this is my office / hobby room. I call it writer's cave.
Okay.
But there's a lot more to it than what you see behind me. It goes 360 degrees around. It's
wow.
nowhere.
Wow. So tell us about your book.
Well, the book that I have published is a fantasy adventure. It takes place on a distant world where men and giants are at war, and the giants have conquered the kingdoms of men, turning their kingdoms into ash, and also have enslaved all of mankind in all types of brutal and vile ways. And from these ashes, these champions, heroes should rise. That's how I have it presented. Who wage a private war against these giants, and in the meantime, trying to build an army so that they can challenge these giants once again. The world in which it takes place on is full of all kinds of mystical creatures and things, wizards and warriors and stuff like that. But it has a sub plot behind it that's really fueling all this. But book one is primarily the rise of giants, or the age of giants. And the beginning of the rise of heroes that will challenge these giants on this world.
Okay. And how long did it take you to finish this book?
In truth, I actually finished the actual writing in 2012.
Okay.
But this particular book was years in the making, because at the time, I didn't know I was going to actually write a book. So what I would do is piece together, and it was all in the fun and stuff like that. So in this rare case, I honestly say it probably took about 20 years off and on.
Okay.
But once I made up my mind, that's what I was going to do. The rest of the books that I've been writing, stuff like that, no more than 6 months to a year and a half.
Okay. And you have the book with you? Can we see the cover?
Yes. Another World Chronicles, Nomadic Warriors.
Nice.
I did the illustration for it, designed the book cover.
Okay. That was one of my questions. How did you come up with the cover for the book?
Well, the original cover had overlooking it, the champions, the main characters throughout the series. And what I did was, since I wasn't sure how the publishing industry worked, and I was too busy trying to get my writing together, I rushed that as a rough draft. See, that's actually a rough draft. And I presented it to the people who was supposed to publish the book, you know, I didn't know they contracted stuff out. And what I found out was that they changed what my characters were supposed to look like. And since I had a vision, because I made figurines of the characters, and I sent them all the information they needed, and they messed it up. So I told them to go ahead, just use my rough draft, and I'll worry about the next books after that.
Okay.
So, like I said, I did the book cover, and I've actually created action figures or figurines of the main characters. Actually, they're behind me. And that's in case the book ever went beyond,
Yes.
A structure of a book, they would know exactly what each of these characters look like. I tried to make them multicultural, because in the world of fantasy and the audience is broad, I try to give everybody somebody to identify and root with, but I just make sure that the main character with the strongest character, the main character with the strongest storyline look like me. That's basically how I do that.
Is that the biggest guy back there?
What's that?
The biggest one back there?
Oh yeah, well, what happens is that, and I don't know if you can see too well, we have our heroes. I try to make them all in scale size.
Okay.
But these are the heroes. These represent the giants in which they're at war with. Some of these are strange beasts, and you see these two bears behind me.
Yes.
They're part of the heroes. Whatever hero, you got to have somebody interested with them to be able to combat, these overwhelming forces.
Yes, definitely. And where can we purchase your book?
You can purchase it on Amazon.com or www.anotherworldschronicles-nomadicwarriors.com. That's actually an Xebris page, but it'll go straight to that, and you can do the same thing with Amazon with that.
Okay.
When the difference with my chronicles is spelled with a K instead of a C.
Thank you. And are you on social media, and how can we find you?
I'm on Facebook. Right now, even though I have a couple of like pages under the same title, a lot of stuff right now I post under my regular Facebook page.
Okay.
Because I'm still not as savvy with the outside branches yet, but that all changed. And I have a website.
Okay, so it'll be the same, Another World's Chronicles?
Nomadic Warriors, yes.
Nomadic Warriors, okay.
Now the book itself that's the series name, but the book itself is Another World's Chronicles, Nomadic Warriors, subtitle The Age of Giants, book 1.
Okay, thank you. And do you have a favorite character in your books?
Yes, I do. I really like the female character in my book. Her name is Aquila. And what I like about in my stories, I try to give every character a part of my personality. And with her, I gave her, she's real fierce, very fierce. And the thing about her is the fact that they call her the savage Aquila, because in battle, she's probably the most dangerous of them all. And she's actually a queen in my story that is the last kingdom that actually standing on this planet. So, it's one of those things where she go out and seek help and all that. But I really like her character because of her fierceness.
And what do you hope readers take away from reading your books?
Well, I hope to give them an escape, a type of escape to put them somewhere where they can and cannot relate to. Mm-hmm. You can relate to the human aspect, but you really can't relate to the world because there's all kinds of stuff that you have to really bring out your imagination on.
Right. Nice. And how do you think being a writer has helped you as a person?
Well, it allows me to slow real time down, in a sense, whereas I'm always somewhere else mentally. And when you face the real world, right, you have to kind of, approach it in a different way. Mm-hmm. So that when you get really bottled in and sometimes things start overwhelming you and all that other stuff, well, you can just simply escape in the world of fantasy. Hey, whatever comes to mind, that can be real to you for that moment.
Absolutely. And is there anything else that you would like to tell us about your books?
Well, they're all a little different. Now, I want to bring up the book that I plan on releasing, and it's called War Between Fang and Claw.
Okay.
And it is a fantasy that takes place on Earth, but it's a book about a werewolf and this creature called a Pantheon who's been hunting him the centuries. And I've this werewolf in to being Jack the Ripper and all of the other serial killers through time. Even though the story begins in the Dark Ages, the gist of the story takes place in present day New York. And that's where they're racing against time, whereas the Pantheon or that's chasing the werewolf, he has to stop the werewolf from making his last kill, or the earth or the world as we know it is doomed. Mm. It's just a mystical story like that. It's not your typical werewolf where you got silver bullets and garlic and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
It's different.
And this one is coming out soon?
Yes. Right now we're working with I'm working with the publishing company. They're trying to perfect it so it can be tight, and they are projecting it to come out in stores around May or April of next year.
And are you a book reader as well?
No.
No? Okay.
That's the funny thing. People are amazed by me because of the fact that I write the stories that they come in my head as I envision them, right? How I see it come to pass. When I finish writing a story, I tend to be done with it, and I'm moving on to another story and another story. It's like a never-ending story. I wake up in the middle of the night, and I might have dreamed something. There you go. I'm starting to write the story, and as you write it, it kind of everything falls into place. It's kind of fun at first, But I always like to have a lot of twists and turns, so that's where it's really tight with me because of the fact that I never give you a straight inline story.
Okay.
What you think may not be at all, and then when you get to the end, it still may not be what you want. So that's where I'm at with that.
A lot of plot twists, huh?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm trying to make it as difficult as possible but enjoyable to read.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
And my pleasure.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. That was Donald Simpson telling us about his book. Don't forget to like and subscribe below.